Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben. Welcome to our new episode for today. I hope you're enjoying all the podcasts that we're putting out there. If you've not subscribed to our channel, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, what get launched, and feel free to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, Gardening with Ben. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a review as well, as it's always good to see who's listening and what you think of the podcast. Let's start today's episode. So today's episode is all about pots. P-O-T-S, pots. And a lot of people don't have the space to grow vegetables or fruit in the garden, as some houses obviously don't have gardens, and a lot of people live in apartments and stuff like that these days, so they've not got the space to grow fruit and vegetables and herbs out in the garden. So when you're looking at growing stuff, there are many things that can actually be grown in pots, and you can have great success with them as well, as they are confined to an area. They don't get as many weeds in as you would in the ground, and they're easier to care for, but they will require a lot more watering, as they'll easily dry out faster through the summer especially, and sometimes you could be watering them once to twice a day if needs be, to get that essential ingredient to making them grow really well. So what can you grow in pots? Well, you possibly can literally grow most things in pots, to be honest. Obviously all your herbs you can grow in pots. These are ideal for balconies and for patios, as herbs preferably are grown in pots, because if you plant them straight in the ground, they can sometimes spread and take over too much as the roots grow in the ground, and sometimes can get too out of hand, especially mint can take over so much. So what I tend to do is grow my herbs in a pot and dig it into the ground, so it does look like it is actually in the ground. So growing herbs in pots is perfect. The other stuff you can grow in pots, you can grow your runner beans in pots. Just put your canes in the middle as a wigwam and grow them up in the middle, and they'll be perfect, ideal for growing in pots. Peas, you probably wouldn't get as many plants in there, so you won't get as much produce, but you could always give it a try. And obviously you can grow your strawberries in pots. Again, those would need watering a lot during the summer, so that they produce the succulent big fruit that you want from the strawberry plants. You can even get fruit trees specifically for pots nowadays. They've been manufactured and changed, and they are dwarf fruit trees that can be grown in pots, and you can get really good harvest from them as well. And again, these are perfect for patios. So growing in pots is becoming more common to the day. One thing that I'm going to try this year is growing my carrots in pots. I've never had much luck with growing carrots in the ground. I've tried many years, every year, and they've been a failure. They just turn out like little things that you wouldn't even worth eating. So I'm going to try growing them in pots this year. And I've also seen how people grow them in pop bottles. They cut the bottoms off, turn them upside down, fill them with compost, and drill a hole in the cap so that it lets the water out of it, and they just put a few seeds in the top, cover them over with compost, water them and keep them watered, and they've had some fantastic carrots grown from them. So that is one thing that I'm going to try this year, so make sure you stay tuned for my videos and photos on that to see how they actually get on with growing. And the other thing I grow in pots on my allotment are my blueberries. as blueberries need to be grown in herbaceous soil. It's a type of soil which is suitable for that fruit plant, and I planted some last year for the first time. I planted 3 plants in pots. Again, I dug it out in the ground, sunk them into the ground so it looks like the pots are in the ground, so that they're not just going to fall over and topple over into the ground itself. And for the first year, they actually had a very good crop on them. I was really surprised at how well they grew, and I got some delicious blueberries off them. And blueberries are expensive to purchase from the shop, as you probably well know. So to grow your own blueberries, I did really well. So if you're thinking of growing blueberries, get yourself some cheap pots, fill them with herbaceous soil and plant them in it, and you'll have great success with them, as I have with mine. So that's been our topic on pots today. Let me know if you do grow fruit and vegetables in pots and what you grow. Send me a message via my social medias, Facebook and Instagram, Gardening with Ben. It's always good to hear feedback from people and what you think of the podcast. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Make sure you do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, which get launched on a daily basis at the moment. And feel free to follow us on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, Gardening with Ben. Obviously on YouTube you get to see all the videos as well, which we launch regularly. And if you'd like to support Gardening with Ben, check out the link below in the description from our shop, where you can purchase fantastic gardening hoodies and t-shirts. You can also buy a Gardening with Ben mug to be drinking your own brew out of while listening to this podcast. And we've launched recently a fantastic range of greeting cards which can be used for any occasion, and also for letters to send to family and friends. So thanks for listening, and as always, remember, keep gardening.